The cool thing about the comic world is that every once in a while, a new writer or filmmaker will come into it and do a completely new take on a classic character. Sometimes they work, and sometimes they don't. That's just the way it goes. But, it's always cool to see. And that, my friends, is what we are going to talk about today. Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to Top 10 Nerd. I'm your host, Dave Raff, and today we are going to be talking about the top 10 scary alternate villains. Now, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, and remember to subscribe to Top 10 Nerd so you never miss one nerdy video. Now, with all that being said, let's dive in. Number 10, Red Sun Lex Luthor. Superman Red Sun is one of the most popular Elseworld stories out there. It was cool to see a different take on some of the heroes, but also its villain, specifically Lex Luthor. In this version, he actually works for Star Labs and is married to none other than Lois Lane. Yep, Lois Lane. He is then tasked by the government to find a way to potentially take out Superman if, Superman ever decides to cause harm toward the United States. It was interesting to see him play this role and kind of, flipped how the world sees him and Superman. Number 9, Arkham Knight. The Batman Arkham game series has some of the best superhero games of all time. They not only have a really cool take on Batman, but they also played with his mythology a little bit. In the third game, Batman Arkham Knight, they give us a really different take on Jason Todd. Before he became the Red Hood, he was the Arkham Knight, which was a little controversial because a lot of people wanted the Arkham Knight to be a completely new character, when in reality it was just a reworked Red Hood story, which it was still cool, just not what everyone was really expecting. Regardless of what people thought of the twist, everyone seemed to love the way the Arkham Knight looked. He had this bad costume, and he was actually really scary, and he was someone who actually challenged Batman, which was really cool to see. Number 8, Bane from The Dark Knight Rises. Bane is one of Batman's greatest villains. I mean, he's the guy that broke Batman's back. But before The Dark Knight Rises, he didn't have the greatest reputation on the big screen. He debuted on the big screen in Batman and Robin, but that film did not really understand what made Bane such a menacing character. But luckily, Christopher Nolan did. His version of Bane was terrifying. That's also thanks to Tom Hardy's performance. He was actually really scary, and his first fight with Batman was so brutal and intense. There's absolutely no music, and all you can hear is just them beating the crap out of each other. Or should I say Bane beating the crap out of Batman. Bane was big, scary, and actually smart. He took over the whole city, and we finally had a live-action man that perfectly captured what makes the characters work so well. Number 7, Ultimate Green Goblin. The Marvel Ultimate Universe is a mixed bag to fans. You either love it or you hate it. One of the things that was really interesting about it was that it got to not only experiment with its heroes, but also villains. One of those villains was the Green Goblin. Even though he's not as cool as the original, it was still a new and scary way to introduce him. He was this massive green monster. It added a really new way to see Spider-Man fight him. And I still remember playing the game Ultimate Spider-Man on PS2 and screaming whenever the Green Goblin would roar, jump at me, or shoot fire. It was so scary. And that game is still one of the best Spider-Man games of all time, hands down. Number 6, Arrowverse Savitar. Savitar in the comics is way different than the one seen on the TV show, The Flash. In the comics, he not only looks different, but he's not Barry Allen. In the TV show, we basically got a completely new take on the character, which a lot of fans actually really liked. He not only looked cool, but the fact that he was also a time remnant of Barry added an extra layer that wasn't present in the comics. It also managed to differentiate Savitar from the previous speedster villains in the show, Reverse Flash and Zoom. Number 5, Spider-Verse Doc Ock. When Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was released in 2018, fans absolutely adored it. It was different, it was unique, and brought a lot of different versions of Spider-Man to the big screen that fans thought we never would see. This also applied to the villains, specifically Dr. Octopus. In this version, Dr. Octopus is a woman named Olivia Octavius. She's a professor who is working with the Kingpin to try and bring back an alternate version of his family. It was cool to see this different take on the character, and she has instantly become a fan favorite. Number 4, MCU Killmonger. The MCU version of Killmonger is considered to be one of the best villains of the MCU. That's how popular he is. He was a former Navy SEAL and had connections to Wakanda because of his father. His father was murdered by his uncle and then left on his own. It was such a massive twist that it made fans actually realize why Eric hated Wakanda so much. He then came in, basically killed T'Challa, and then tried to rule Wakanda. Of course, T'Challa came back. But in one movie, he made such an impact that he is almost in everyone's top 3 MCU villain list. And that is a big accomplishment considering there are over 20 films in the MCU. Number 3, Arrowverse Prometheus. Like Savitar, Prometheus delivered a very different take on the character of Prometheus. In the Arrowverse, he was revealed to be Adrian Chase, who in the comics is known to be the character of Vigilante. He is a man who wanted revenge on Oliver Queen because he killed his father while he was the Hood, marking names off the list that his father left him. This instantly made Adrian a completely different kind of Arrow villain, and the connection to Season 1 was a really cool way to make it seem like everything was connected. To this day, Prometheus is considered to be one of, if not the best Arrow villain to date. It's usually either him or Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke. Number 2, MCU Mysterio. I am still shocked that Marvel managed to pull this off so well. Mysterio has always been one of the coolest Spider-Man villains, but sometimes certain characters don't always translate to the big screen that well. And everyone thought that was probably going to happen with Mysterio, but we were so wrong. Marvel's take on him was brilliant. Quentin Beck was a man that was wronged by Tony Stark and basically created these illusions with drones and projectors. It fit perfectly into the world that the MCU had built. And we got to see a lot of those classic Spidey vs. Mysterio fights that we all loved from the comics. I mean, their fight is just so breathtaking. Number 1, Joker from The Dark Knight. Heath Ledger's Joker is widely considered to be the best version of the character. He was fresh and unique, and by not showing his origin and making him just kind of this crazy guy that puts on makeup rather than it being permanently stained on his face, just made him even scarier. Add to the fact that he had an amazing story to back him up, and we had the best live-action Joker of all time. And honestly, I don't see this one ever being topped. It was so damn good. Everything worked about that movie. Alright, there you have it guys, the top 10 scary alternate villains. What does your list look like? Let us know down in those comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to Top 10 Nerds so you never miss one nerdy moment. I'm your host, Dave Raff, and thank you so much for watching.